Hello, everybody. It's Fern. Welcome back. Hope that you're doing well. Today, I am going to be doing my Christmas book haul. I was quite spoiled this Christmas, and I received a whole heap of books from my partner, and I really want to share them with you. This is the most books I have ever acquired at one time, so I really felt like it deserved its own video, its own little haul video. So I'm so excited to go through these books and tell you about them because they're all books that were obviously on my wish list that I've been wanting to read and that I'm super excited for and interested in. So yeah, maybe you will also be interested in some of them as well. I hope that is the case. I have 16 books to go through, so I'm just gonna get started. The first one is by the Queen, Madeline Miller herself. This is a short story, as you can tell. This is literally a little tiny baby book. It is so cute. And you're gonna notice a little bit of a theme. Well, there's a few books at least that fit this theme in this video, and that is Greek mythology retellings with a focus on women. So this is the first one of that kind of genre. And if you're not familiar, Madeline Miller wrote The Song of Achilles, which is one of my all-time favorite books and one of the books that really just made me fall in love with reading again. So I obviously just have a really soft spot for The Song of Achilles. I love Madeline Miller's writing. I always saw this one at the bookstore and I never picked it up, but of course I want to add it into my collection, so I'm excited to crack into this. I think this is like a 30-minute read, so it's going to be a nice quick one. Also, I will say that I literally know nothing about Greek mythology. It's something that I'm definitely curious about learning more, but the books that I picked out in the reviews that I had seen said that you don't really need to have background information on the myths or anything, so I'm hoping that I enjoy them all. But anyways, Galatea is a marble sculpture who is brought to life by her sculptor. Her sculptor ends up marrying her, but he's super domineering and controlling, and it sounds like he just kind of locks her up and doesn't let her do anything, and it sounds like she attempts to break free of him. So yeah, very curious about that and just excited to be consumed by Madeline Miller's beautiful poetic writing style. Okay, this next one I am very excited about. It is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and I've been wanting to pick this up for quite some time because I've heard other people talk about this and it just sounds very up my alley. And I've also heard that Colleen Hoover's Verity was inspired by this book and probably many other modern kind of thriller type books. And I loved Verity. I thought that that was such a great thriller. I was on the edge of my freaking seat. So when I heard about Rebecca, I was like, okay, sign me up. So this is a classic. I believe that this was published in 1938. But despite being a classic, because I will say I'm very intimidated by classics, despite being a classic, this is supposed to be really easy to read and just an incredible gothic kind of thriller type of thing, so just let me read you the back. On a trip to the south of France, the shy heroine of Rebecca falls in love with Maxime de Winter, a wealthy, handsome widower. But as they arrive at Manderley, his Cornish mansion, a change comes over Max, and the young bride is filled with dread. Friendless in the isolated house, she realizes that she barely knows the man she has married, and in every corner of every room is the phantom of his beautiful first wife, Rebecca. Oh, it just sounds so good. I can't wait. And this actually, I opened this and I was kind of shocked because I completely forgot that I asked for this for Christmas, and I actually had already bought it, I think during Black Friday in like November. And I didn't even know that it was on my Christmas list. So I actually have 2 copies of this, and I don't know which one I want to keep. This is like a nice hardcover. I'm not super keen on the white or like the design of this. It's like an embroidered kind of thing with the R. I mean, I don't know. I like that it's like a sturdy hardcover, but I kind of like just like the gothic look of this one. So I don't know. I like them both, but I'll probably only keep one. So comment below and let me know which copy you like better. Okay, bear with me because this next one is a little bit obscure and I cannot for the life of me figure out what the plot of this is to really give you a summary. But this is How You Lose the Time War by, I think that this is written by these two authors, Amal El-Matar and Max Gladstone. This is what it looks like. And this is, okay, it says on the back, a twisting sapphic time travel love story that never stops surprising. Readers will reach the end and want to turn back to the start. So I don't know, fantasy, love story vibes. The reason that I wanted this is because after I finished Piranesi, I got a comment that since I like Piranesi, I would like this as well. And that was just all I needed to know, because if you watch my weekly vlogs, you would know how much I love Piranesi. That has gone into like my top favorite books of all time. So anything that has that kind of energy, I am all for. I mean, not that this is going to have like the exact same energy or whatever, but for some reason this was recommended because of that book. So I've got high hopes. The first couple sentences on the back says, "In the ashes of a dying world, Red finds a letter marked burn before reading," which I was reading the back of this to my partner when we were opening gifts on Christmas, and he was like, "What? Burn before reading?" Like, it doesn't even make sense. So just very weird. "So begins an unlikely correspondence between two rival agents in a war that stretches through the vast reaches of time and space." So yeah, I really don't know what I'm expecting with this one, but I'm excited to jump into it. And I kind of felt the same with Piranesi. Like, I did not know if I was going to love it, if I was going to hate it. It just sounded very weird, and the weirdness was what I ended up loving about it. So yeah. Okay, this stack has a lot of books. Let's do these two. I got a really good variety of books. I will say, like, I feel like I have a quite eclectic selection here, which is really exciting. But these are two books that are honestly pretty new to me. I just heard of these kind of recently, but they sounded kind of up my alley. These are by Claudia Pinheiro, who is, I believe, an Argentinian author, a very renowned author. And I heard about these two books on YouTube, and I heard that they were just very emotional and hard-hitting and beautifully written. And that sounds like the vibes to me. So I was immediately intrigued. The first one is called Elena Knows, and it was shortlisted for the 2022 International Booker Prize, which is, we love to see it. So this is about a woman who has late-stage Parkinson's, I believe, and her daughter has just been murdered, and she's trying to solve this murder or get to the bottom of what happened, but she's struggling with her illness and having to rely on a caregiver and having to, work her life around when she gets her medication, and it's supposed to be just very emotional. Yeah, I'm excited to read it. I feel like this is going to give me a lot to think about, and I know that I'm going to be crying my eyes out, like just the topics that it involves. And then the second one that I have by her is called A Little Luck. And to be honest, I don't really know the plot of this one, but it was also described as being another just really well-written, emotional book. So it says, Pinheiro's words work a kind of magic only very masterful literature does. I'm hoping that I like both of these or one of these. I don't know. It's kind of something it's an author that's completely new to me as well. I don't think all of her books are translated to English, but obviously these two are. So yeah, I'll update you guys. Okay, this is a very interesting one that's been on my radar for a little while, since before it came out, actually, when I heard about it. I was very intrigued. This is actually a book of the month pick, and I didn't end up picking it for whichever month this was because I don't know, I just got intimidated. It's very weird. Like the premise, the concept of this is very strange. And I was like, this either is going to really hit or it's going to miss. So I didn't put it in my book of the month box. But then, once it had been out for a little while, I started hearing reviews and hearing people talk about it. And I've heard really positive things. So I was like, okay, I'm going to pick this up, and I'm so excited to read it. So it's Shark Heart, a Love Story by Emily Haybeck. So this is a magical realism book following a newlywed couple where the husband has been diagnosed with a condition that is causing him to turn into a great white shark. He's going to retain all of his consciousness, all of his memories and everything, but physically he is going to slowly transform into a great white shark. So apparently it's a very emotional, very deep book, kind of following how, I think it follows the wife, maybe it follows both of them, I honestly don't know. Funny, sad, and surprising. Every page bursts with heart. Yeah, I've heard that this is just an emotional book, and even though it sounds so absurd, it was executed really well, so I hope that that's going to be the case when I jump into this. But like, how could you not be intrigued by that? Like, that just, I need to know. So I'm really excited to read that one. And I find that I really like magical realism. Like, I struggle with fantasy, but magical realism, I feel like for the most part, I'm on board. Okay, next we have A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. And you guys, I have heard some things about this book. I have heard some good things. I have heard some bad things. The people are talking about this. And this is known to be an incredibly sad, traumatic, like sobbing your face off kind of book. And that, like, when somebody's review says that, like, this book destroyed me, or like I've been crying for 2 hours, or, that is like the number one thing that makes me want to go out and get a book, because I don't know why, but I just love sad books. I love really like deep emotional themes. I don't know, like, this thing is, as far as I know, chock full of trigger warnings and trauma. So this follows 4 guys who are college friends, and it sounds like it just kind of follows them throughout life, talks a lot about, friendship, found family kind of stuff, and then different traumas that they all go through, addiction, all kinds of stuff. So it says, a hymn to brotherly bonds and a masterful depiction of love in the 21st century. So yeah, I'm obviously very intimidated by this because it's massive, and these are thin pages, you guys. Like, these are like, oh my goodness, these are like Bible pages. I'm not kidding you. This is 800 pages long. So I don't know when I'm going to tackle this because, yeah, I'm a little scared. This is an epic study of trauma and friendship. Written with such intelligence and depth of perception that it will be one of the benchmarks against which all other novels that broach those topics will be measured. Ugh, it sounds good. I actually, I'd heard people, I don't know, I've just heard such mixed things, so I wasn't sure if I was going to get it, but again, I need to know. I need to discover it for myself, and I think I'm going to like it. I hope I'm going to like it. Obviously, the books that I buy, or like, these were gifted, and I feel like I am a little bit more bold with my choices perhaps when things are gifts. Like, I will maybe adventure out a little bit more, which is why I kind of chose, like, the Greek mythology books and stuff like that. But for the most part, when I am buying physical copies of books, I try to choose things that I am like fairly confident I'm gonna like and I'm gonna want to own and have on my bookcase, my bookshelf, whatever. But it's not always the case. I would say I have probably like an 80% success rate with that. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about another Greek mythology. So this is Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. And I had seen this book and heard people talk about this book for quite some time, over the past couple of years since this came out, I guess. Again, I don't really know anything about this. I do not know who Ariadne is or the story or anything, but it says, if you like Madeline Miller's Circe and the Song of Achilles, you'll eat up Ariadne. So my fingers are crossed that I'm going to like this. It has a kind of feminist lens as far as I know. And yeah, I mean, I did notice that some of the reviews were mixed when I looked on there, but I've heard people enjoy it. I've heard that it's good. I mean, it's hard because I like to, I like to look through some reviews before I read something or like decide to purchase something, that's usually, I usually hear like these books recommended by someone, and then that's why I buy them. It's kind of a difficult line to walk because obviously I want to listen to reviews to figure out which books I'm going to like, but I don't want to be so reliant, like listen to reviews so much that I'm like not trying out books if somebody gives it a negative review. If that makes any sense. There's books that I don't like that other people love, and then some of my all-time favorite books other people don't like. So it's just one of those things. Next, we have Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. And I think that this is going to be a fun one. So this takes place in the 1970s, and it follows a 14-year-old girl, I believe, called Mary Jane. And she comes from a very kind of straight-laced, conservative, strict family. So she's lived a very kind of sheltered life, and over the summer, I believe, she goes to nanny for this like well-off doctor in her city because they have a small child, and they're having company that summer, so like somebody's coming to stay with them that summer, so they need a nanny to help care for their small child. So she shows up at this doctor's house to start her nannying job, and I guess it's just chaos, like the complete opposite of her family. Everything is kind of in disarray. The house is a mess. There's like takeout containers, and she finds out that the person that's staying with this family is a rock star and his movie star wife, and they're there to get clean over the summer. So she's introduced to this world of, rock and roll and drugs, and just kind of the complete opposite of what her family is, like where, the sheltered life that she's kind of come from. So she's trying to kind of get this family under control. Like she's trying to get them on a dinner schedule, make them meals, do their laundry. And she's just being exposed to all of these crazy things. So it's a coming of age story that takes place in the 70s. And I'm really excited for it. And I'm excited for that kind of setting because I unfortunately did not like Daisy Jones and the Six, which I know I'm a minority. I should have listened to the audiobook because I hear that that is like the best way to consume that story. I loved the TV show, the TV adaptation, but I don't know. I just didn't like Daisy Jones and the Six, which is unfortunate because I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. So I'm hoping that this is kind of going to provide some of that 70s kind of, vibes. Okay, so next we have The House in the Cerulean Sea, which is a very popular book, and this is also one that I've been wanting to read for quite a while. It was one of the first ones, like when I first started getting back into reading, I would always hear people talk about this book, so it was on my list for a while, and then, I don't know, I think I heard someone say a negative review. Again, this is why I shouldn't give so much weight to that. But I think I heard someone say they didn't like it, and then it kind of fell off of my radar. But recently, it's come back onto my radar, and I feel like it's just something that I need to discover for myself. But I think that this is kind of like cozy fantasy vibes. So this follows a social worker or like a caseworker. He works with endangered youth or something, and he's put on this assignment to travel to an orphanage on this distant island, which I'm assuming is that house right there. So he is assigned to travel there and check up on these magical children that are living there. 6 dangerous magical children. He has to determine whether 6 dangerous magical children are so dangerous. So he arrives there, and it sounds like it's kind of a found family kind of situation. Like he bonds with these people, and I think that there's like a love story between him and the like master of this orphanage. This is also a queer story, and it's just supposed to be really cozy and heartwarming. So I'm excited to read this. Finally, I feel like I've been putting it off for a while. It says The House in the Cerulean Sea is an enchanting love story masterfully told about the profound experience of discovering an unlikely family in an unexpected place and realizing that family is yours. Oh, it sounds like it's going to be a tearjerker. Okay, next we have my last of the Greek mythology books in this haul, and that is 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. And this is one that was recommended after I finished Song of Achilles. Also, I see shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction 2020, and Piranesi won a Women's Prize for Fiction. I don't know what year, but I feel like I have a lot of faith in that prize. specifically now. So this is a retelling of the Trojan War, but through the eyes of different women. So I think that we get multiple POVs in here, and it's kind of the idea of, you know, the Trojan War, and a lot of Greek mythology is very focused on being told from the male perspective. So this this kind of gives the female perspective, I suppose. It says, Haynes gives much needed voice to the silenced women of the Trojan War. Her thoughtful portraits will linger with you long after the book has finished. And that is a quote from Madeline Miller commenting on this book. So I have high hopes for this one. Again, just really interested in kind of reading a little bit more Greek mythology and kind of learning about it, because I just have, I don't know, I'm interested by it, but I don't have really any knowledge of it. Next, we have Scythe by Neil Shusterman, and this is one that I feel like I am diving a little bit outside of my comfort zone, but I'm really hoping that this works out for me, because as soon as I heard the premise, I was immediately interested. I kind of love it. So this is kind of, I mean, at first I thought it was fantasy, but I think it might be more dystopian. This takes place in a world that has turned into a utopia, which basically has no problems. So there's nothing that can kill you. There's no disease, no hunger, no war, no misery. It says humanity has conquered all of those things and has even conquered death. So it's this kind of perfect world. But now they're facing problems of the population getting too large. So basically there's this group of people called Scythes, and it is their job to go around and population control. And I think that this might be a YA read. It says, these teens must master the art of taking life, knowing that the consequences of failure could mean losing their own. They learn living in a perfect world comes only with a heavy price. Yeah, I don't know. I heard someone say it was good, and when they talked about the plot, I was like, sign me up. Like, that sounds really interesting, and I haven't read a kind of like dystopian book like that in a while. It's also a series, so that's obviously book 1, and I really hope that I enjoy it. This one we know and love, at least I do, and I've talked about this on this channel before because I read this when we went camping in July, right after it came out. And I read this in like 2 days because I could not put it down. Like, I was like ignoring my partner because I was just obsessed with reading this book. It was so freaking good. This is my favorite thriller of 2023. So if you're looking for a thriller to read, I highly, highly recommend this one. So as you can see, it is called The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I read this on my Kobo, on my e-reader, and I was so disappointed. I didn't know I was going to be that obsessed with it, but I was so disappointed that I didn't get the physical copy because, I don't know, when I really like a book, I love just having the physical copy. I love being able to see it. I love being able to go through the pages, annotate it, look back on it, whatever. And yeah, so I was just bummed I got the e-version instead. And I also just love the cover. Like, I love the colors. I love the vibes. Yeah, it's perfection. So I added it to my Christmas wish list because I really wanted it. And I knew that when my boyfriend was buying all of these books, like placing the order for all of these books, I knew that there was the Black Friday sale happening. So I was like, okay, if I'm going to get this book, I want it to be when it's like whatever, 30 or 40% off. So that's why I had it on my wish list, because I knew he was going to be able to get it on sale. Because I'm not, I don't love buying things twice. I already bought the ebook. It wasn't even like a Libby thing. But anyways, now I have the physical copy. I'm happy, and I can reread that book, which I probably will, because it was very, very good. Oh, I didn't even say what it was about. Oh my goodness. So this is a gothic kind of thriller. It takes place in this creepy mansion house on this cliff with the ocean waves crashing down here. Immaculate vibes. I love that setting for a thriller. I love when there's like a creepy mansion or a creepy house involved. So it's like this rundown house, and this book follows our main character. What's her name again? I feel like it's Pip. Is it though? Oh, Kit, that's right. So our main character, Kit, is a care aide or a caregiver. She works for this company where she's assigned to different clients, and she goes to their houses, and she gets assigned. Oh my God, I'm getting spooked out now. Okay. Maybe I'll just leave the lights off while I finish telling you about this one because it's a spooky one. So she gets assigned to, of course, go care for a patient who lives in this spooky old mansion, and nobody goes to this mansion. Kit doesn't want to go there either. She does not want to care for this woman in this house because this woman, Lenora, was accused of murdering her whole family when she was 16 years old. Lenora is an older lady now. She's like 70 or something, and she has a whole bunch of health conditions. She's in a wheelchair and she's nonverbal. But she was convicted of killing her sister and her two parents when she was a teen. She was never, or sorry, did I say convicted? She was accused. She was never convicted of the crime. There wasn't enough evidence, so she didn't like, suffer any punishment from that. She was just kind of like banished from society, I guess. Like she's just lived out the rest of her days in this house. If you're familiar with the Lizzie Borden case, this book is kind of a retelling of that. So anyways, our character Kit, she's very like kind of down on her luck and just like has to take this job even though she tries to get out of it. She doesn't want it. She's like obviously very spooked, but she really needs the money. She needs a job, whatever. So she goes there and she cares for this woman. So she gets there and the woman, Lenora, decides that she wants to tell her the truth about what happened on that night back when she was a teenager. But she can't speak, like I said, so she is conveying her story via typewriter. And of course, there's different characters that like work in the house, and you're like uncovering things, and yeah, it's a wild ride. I don't want to give too much away, but that is the premise. And yeah, it's such a good book. It's so well written. The vibes are immaculate. I liked the characters, and yeah, I just think that it is fantastic. 5 stars from me. Okay, I'm gonna turn my lights back on here just for the rest of this video, and then I will let the plants sleep. Okay, there we go. We're back in action. We actually have 2 more horrors. Maybe I'll talk about those while they're both by Grady Hendricks, my man. Grady Hendricks and Riley Sager are both authors they're like auto-buy authors for me. Like I just immediately want to read whatever they put out. So Grady Hendricks is the author of My Best Friend's Exorcism, which I read My Best Friend's Exorcism in like the very beginning of the fall, like end of summer, fall. And oh my gosh, it was so freaking good. I just love his writing. He's so brilliant. If you love like witty, funny, satirical kind of horror, which is not something that I thought I would have been into, like if somebody would have told that to me, like described that. But it works so well. He's brilliant in my opinion. I've also read Horror Store by him, which I thought was a creative masterpiece. Like it was just so much creativity. Again, I think he's just brilliant. So I will be reading every book that he writes. So I also have the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by him, which I've heard that's a lot of people's favorite. So I'm almost like stressed to read it because I'm like putting so much pressure. I think I'm really gonna like it. So I already have that one, and then I have My Best Friend's Exorcism and Horror Store. I'm adding 2 more to the collection. So the 2 that I got. This one, The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendricks. This follows a group of final girls, like girls or women who survived like massacres, and they were the one that escaped. So they have this support group that they meet up and they talk, and then one day one of them goes missing and they realize somebody is trying to take them out, like somebody's coming back to finish them off or something. Anyways, I haven't heard too much about this one, but you know what? He wrote it, so I'm gonna read it. And then the next one that I have from him is actually his 2023 release. Came out, I guess, last year now. It's 2024 now. And it is called How to Sell a Haunted House. And this one I've actually heard quite not so great reviews of. People seem to, not be as enthralled with this one as they are with some of his other books. But I feel like even his books that aren't that good, I will enjoy them because, people say that Horror Store was not good, or like it's like his like worst book. And maybe it's because that's the first book I read by him, but I was just so entertained. Like his writing style is just so witty. So, So I'm excited to read it, regardless that the reviews might not be amazing. But anyways, this follows, I think that this actually takes place in COVID times too, which is kind of, I don't know how I feel about that. But I think, but this basically follows a brother and sister who have just lost their parents, and now they are tasked with selling their house. But then creepy, strange things are happening in this house that are making it really difficult to sell. So, you know what? I'm interested, I'm intrigued, and yeah, in my opinion, he can do no wrong with his books, but we'll see how I feel. Maybe I won't like it that much. I have no idea, but I'm still excited to read it. So I was really happy to be adding 2 more Grady Hendricks to my collection, and I think he's also coming out with a 2024 book, which can't wait. I think it's about witches too, or at least witches are in the title. And also Riley Sager, my other man, is coming out with a book this year as well. Oh gosh, I forget what it's called, but the cover is this like chartreuse or like lime green, and I just love the way it looks. So, you know, I will be buying that in hardcover as soon as it comes out, and I think it comes out the week before my birthday. So, perfect timing, Riley, perfect timing. Anyways, I digress. So the last book that I got that I'm going to talk about with you today is one that this has actually been on my radar for quite some time as well, because I've heard multiple people talk about how good this is. So yeah, I didn't know it was going to be such a small, like it's quite a thin book. So I don't think this is going to be a very long read, but apparently it is a pretty heavy hitting one. Again, another like emotional kind of story, a beautifully, delicately written novel about love, about being seen, about vulnerability and mental health. Yeah, so this follows, okay, in a crowded London pub, 2 young people meet. Both are Black British. Both won scholarships to private schools where they struggled to belong. Both are now artists, trying to make their mark in a world that by turn celebrates and rejects them. Tentatively, tenderly, they fall in love, but 2 people who seem destined to be together can still be torn apart by fear and violence, and over the course of a year they find their relationship tested by forces beyond their control. It says an achingly beautiful love story, so anything that is, you know, tender, emotional, like I've said, that is right up my alley, so really, really excited to read Open Water. Oh, that is it. Can you guys believe I got so many books for Christmas? Like, I'm kind of shook. I have them all stacked up on my desk in the room because I can't find a spot for them on a shelf yet because I'm not done admiring them. I'm so thrilled to read all of them. Books are just such an incredible form of art and escapism for me. Like, I love words so much and I love stories so much. Like, they truly mean just everything to me. So they've become such a big, impactful and cathartic part of my life. Like, I honestly feel like reading heals me. I was gonna make a video talking about my favorite reads of 2023, but I feel like that ship has kind of sailed. It's been a really rough last week over here, y'all. I'll probably talk about it in my weekend vlog, or it might honestly be a weekend vlog at this point. Whatever vlog I'm putting out on, the next vlog is going to be January 14th, so whatever that vlog ends up being, either a weekend vlog or a weekly vlog, maybe we'll talk a little bit about just how chaotic things were here last week, but it kind of pushed me behind on filming for the vlog channel, and I was going to make a whole video dedicated to 2023 books, but I think I'll probably just mention my favorite books in a segment of the vlog. So keep your eyes out for that. Maybe I'll put timestamps in the vlog so you can check it out if you are interested. Anyways, hope that you enjoyed this video. Hope that you enjoyed listening to me ramble about these books. I love talking about them. So yeah, that's it for now. Like I said, new weekly vlog will be coming on the 14th. I believe. Sometimes I say things and I'm like, why did I say that? If it gets delayed or something, but I'm pretty sure that's when the next vlog is going to be. So thank you so much for hanging out. Leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.